back to the world of trade. Experts in trade and development, they delivered key punchlines today at the 2024 International Trade Centers Forum, which was held in Switzerland. The event puts into context the evolving needs of small businesses in contributing to sustainable development of global trade amid current geopolitical and regulatory challenges. Let's share some of the solutions discussed by the panelists.
It's really fantastic. So shared values, shared vision, shared ethos, innovation, the value of life, and we're talking about thrival, not just survival, but through the collaboration and your work, really focusing on thrival and helping make sure, is that better? You can hear me a little bit better, on thrival. I think that's really, really quite important. Now, were there a couple of projects that either of you would like to highlight in recently or past which would focus on the innovation, or if something comes to mind as, hey, that was this really great project, which was no blah, blah, and was something as an exemplar. Does something come to mind?
Well, cocoa, I think, that unites us.
Yeah.
I had to explain that the Swiss, yes, there are no cocoa trees in Switzerland, but we added milk to the chocolate, remember?
That's innovation.
That
there
was at
go.
the 60 birthday party in Geneva. By the way, that also helps that they're in Geneva, I have to say.
Yes.
The fact that we can actually meet...
So easily.
I mean, you know, I know that people are joining globally from all over the world, and that's great. And that's, you know, I'm all for it, but from time to time to sit opposite each other. Cocoa, and I've recently just met with the Swiss Cocoa platform, and you are very active on that, linking farmers, I mean, throughout the whole value chain. And I think what impresses me as well is that, of course, you know, you have a cocoa value chain, but you have a coffee value chain, you have other commodities. And I think that is encouraging to me, that whatever we learn in one, you know, value chain, I think together we're trying to transport it and lessons learned, and so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. And I guess that transporting of lessons learned, of course, what did work and what did not work. And I think both of us also understand it's not a copy-paste issue. You really then still have to do your homework and your deep dive. I think that's something that comes to mind, because I experienced it both in Geneva at the 60th birthday bash. Also had an engagement with members of the Swiss Cocoa platform. So I think that always what works, how can we multiply, and how can we make sure that it reaches all corners of the world? Because I think that's the challenge nowadays. We have to really provide everyone on this planet with hopefully an opportunity for a better and more sustainable life.
There are two projects that I really, really think are so incredibly powerful, that the Swiss government has supported us from the beginning and has actually been, you know, part of the innovation, the creative. One of the good things about what ITC does is that we don't just sit in a box and come up with something and impose. We work with our stakeholders. We ensure that it is homegrown and home-owned. That way, when we do disengage, it continues. You know, we are able to ensure that it's built for them.
And how many stakeholders do you have approximately? Like 200,000?
You mean in which country?
Great answer.
No,
This shows my ignorance. I have something to learn here. I got to do some homework really fast. Okay.
No, I mean,
good point. That's great.
We're in a lot of countries.
Thank you. No, that's okay.
No,
cool.
but I mean, Chris, so I represent government. Government does not have to come up with ideas. People come up with ideas.
True.
And our job is to create the best possible framework, because not everyone has, you know, the privilege to grow up in a country such as Switzerland, where, you know, you get provided by government with free education and so on. So I think the matter is not, you know, us in Switzerland, we believe we're successful because we're not doing industrial policies and spending money, and us deciding what is the next big technology that we need to support. What we're focusing on is creating framework conditions, access to finance, access to markets, understanding, for example, in Africa, the new continental free trade area. What does that mean if I'm in Tanzania or in Ghana with a small business? How do I have to twerk my sales, my registrations and so on? I think that's, the people have, I was ambassador in Southern Africa. You find these amazingly creative people. So you really do not have to come up with ideas. They know what to do. We have to enable them.
Yeah. And this is basically what you're doing.
Yeah, I was talking about the Sankofa project. I love the name, to be honest. I just love it. It just sounds like a music group,
Wait, say it again really loud. Kind of got to say it.
Yes, you can just feel the beat. But I think it's one of our most successful projects for several reasons. One, because, of course, we work with the Ghana Cocoa Board. We've worked with the partners in Ghana. We've also worked with the private sector in Switzerland and the government and so on. So it's been a multi-pronged, multifaceted, multi-partner engagement, which is what has made it so successful. And I think many of the players are in here today. And I think one of the great things about that as well is that we've been able to introduce sustainability measures, right? Such as dynamic agroforestry, which looks at multi-cropping and how do you plant the cocoa alongside other crops that can be reaped throughout the year.
Super important.
Also looking at the issues of, carbon sequestration. How do we ensure that it's not harming the environment? Because I think the balance that we're trying to get at this stage is how do you ensure environmental sustainability and also economic livelihood? That's the balance. And sometimes, when we talk about environmental sustainability, a lot of people forget that people's lives are at stake as well.
Absolutely.
And so how do you ensure that we balance that? And so that's a very important part. The other thing is ensuring that value addition takes place. That they start processing and doing value addition in Ghana instead of the usual export, excavate, move, So for us, the Sankofa project represents so many powerful
That's really great
signals. So.